What's up and welcome. The Above Limits podcast. This is going to be something new that I'm trying. I'm, questioning different titles I could call it, but it's probably like the Today and CNN, Crime News Network, whatever. Whatever the title is, I think about. I forgot. But it's going to be basically what we're going to do is we're going to, from time to time, maybe a daily thing if I can get time to do it, is just go through the daily grievances of CNN and the mainstream media, maybe other networks, but just see how long I can stomach listening to their lies and ridiculous weak arguments that they put forth as we get closer to the election. And so that's the basic premise of this story, or this show. So it is like a show. It'll be separate from my other stuff. As soon as I can get it live, I have some type of lock on my account that I can't do live or something like that. So once that gets figured out, we will start doing live shows. So like I said, feel free to subscribe to this channel also if you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, subscribe too. And let's keep the momentum and grow this little thing I'm trying to do here. So let's see. We're gonna switch up to the CNN page. Let's see. There we are. Oh, that looks nice. So these are all the daily, like one day ago, all the stuff that they've been putting out. So we may go further into the second day, but we'll just try to stick to these one day videos. So let's see. Airbnb CEO Brian Chesky, we still plan to go public. I could give a shit about Airbnb and whether they go public, so I'm not going to watch that. Dr. Fauci weighs in a vaccine by October. Yeah, I seen something on WorldStar. Yeah, and you got to watch out for WorldStar because that's where urban teenagers and people that grew up on watching WorldStar, because probably won't find much older people watching WorldStar. I don't know, maybe they do, but it's where a lot of younger folks and urban folks get their news and entertainment from. So they were saying that basically a forced vaccination is soon to come from by November. So forced vaccination, it's just paranoia, fear porn type stuff. So here we go. We're gonna tune into this and see what they got to say about a vaccine by November, which is also coincidentally the time when the election starts.
Listen, I know the news is coming in all the time as folks take a closer look at the various vaccine candidates. You've been consistent for weeks and months saying, it's possible as soon as the end of this year. We now have the CEO of Pfizer saying he should have enough data by the end of October. I'm curious, have you seen any data that has you moving up a likely timeline for a workable vaccine?
These are all guesstimates, Jim. I mean, if you look at the projection of the enrollment and the kinds of things you'll need to get a decision about whether the vaccine is safe and effective, most of us project that that's going to be by November, December, by the end of the year.
So far, this is pretty damn boring.
Could this be earlier? Sure. So if someone comes out and says, I'm going to shoot for the possibility that I'll get it by October, you can't argue strongly against that. That's unlikely, not impossible.
It's amazing how they can project that it's going to come out in October or November, when, like, they've already said, Bill Gates has already said that the vaccine might not work, might not do shit for COVID-19, and other people say that they've never made a coronavirus vaccine. Basically, the coronavirus is the common cold, and these guys are like wanting you to inject some shit into your arms. And if Joe Biden was president, he says he's going to have a mass mandate. So if Joe Biden's president, I'm pretty sure they're going to have mass full mass vaccination across the whole nation, forced. So I mean, this is I mean, I don't think Trump's any better because he wants everybody to get back to work, but most people are back to work, and you can find a job, but he's all about his economy, so anything to get his precious economy back up and running, he's in favor of. So
I think most of the people feel it's going to be November, December, but that does not mean that if there are a number of infections within a particular trial that allows you to make a decision sooner rather than later, it is conceivable that you could have it by October.
This guy also says that
likely.
Fauci says that it takes 7 years to develop a vaccine, but according to this one, they can do it in fucking 9-10 months. Come on, man.
A few days before an election, and there has been evidence of politics getting in the way of the science here. Should folks at home listening right now be concerned that politics are influencing the timeline for a vaccine?
I don't think so, Jim. I mean, the FDA has been very explicit.
Yeah, trust this guy. He doesn't think so.
Make a decision based on the data as it comes in. These trials have these independent
Trump allows people into his inner circle that end up fucking him over in the end.
And they are the
so
ones
it's
that
like
are independent individuals.
So it's like
those data will ultimately become public.
It's like he needs to be
I mean, if there is the kind of thing that people are concerned about,
he needs to be very cautious on allowing these little snakes like Fauci to
what the FDA is saying. They're saying very explicitly that they're going to be making the decision based on the scientific data, and we hope that that's going to be the case.
Are you confident that data will make this decision?
Watch this guy, whoever this guy is, the reporter.
Data has always been the thing that has driven me and my colleagues here at the NIH, as well as the FDA. The FDA and the CDC, they're data-driven organizations. So I think that people can feel confident that when these data come in, they'll be examined appropriately and a decision made. And remember, there are outside groups that are going to be involved in this, Jim, and I think people need to understand that. It's not going to be just independently, because they have advisory groups who will look over the data.
You, yourself, if and when a vaccine is approved, would you have any hesitation to take it yourself or for members of your family?
Oh, not at all, Jim. I mean, I will look at the data, and I would assume, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be the case, that a vaccine would not be approved for the American public unless it was indeed both safe and effective. And I keep emphasizing both safe.
Let's think about what he says. He's saying, well, I don't think it's going to be approved unless it's safe or whatever. These people want to kill you. Let's get that straight, number one. These people want to see people die. Okay? They wouldn't have sent, elderly people to nursing homes instead of those ships that Donald Trump gave to these Democrat-run cities, to care for people with coronavirus or people that weren't affected by coronavirus. They wouldn't have sent those people to those nursing homes unless they wanted them to die. I mean, it's quite simple. So these people can't be trusted, straight up.
And effective. If that's the case, Jim, I would not hesitate for a moment to take the vaccine myself and recommend it for my family.
Okay, another topic. The public has heard mixed and sometimes contradictory messages on key health questions regarding the outbreak, the seriousness of the outbreak, and also treatments for the outbreak. You're aware of them. Disagreements over the usefulness of hydroxychloroquine. Questions
same shit they always talk about. I mean, they're not, these people aren't fucking saying anything new. They just repeat themselves.
Questions about CDC guidelines on who should be tested and when.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done with this one. These motherfuckers are boring. You're done. Next. Let's see. Which one am I gonna do? Okay, let's try this one. Let's see how this lady's a sellout. She's literally been on every single network, and now she's at CNN, and she knows this is her last hurrah. If she loses this gig, she's done. And she's gotten pretty ugly too. She's pretty hot, but let's see what she has to say. I have no idea what this video is about.
From home, I'm SE Cup. Now, I never thought that I'd say this, but a new ad from the Biden campaign is speaking my love language. In a nutshell, it's promising to give me my life back.
She's reading.
Spot opens with this question to voters. Remember when you didn't have to think about the president every single day, and instead there was someone in that office who thought about you? According to CNN, the ad is part of a national campaign targeting black voters, but its unquestionable appeal is far from limited to just that one constituency.
So it's targeting black voters. Okay, so it's like, are we pretending that Joe Biden is gonna fix racism? I mean, he was under the administration with the first black president. You know, they didn't fix racism. There's plenty of racists. There were shootings of black men under Barack Obama. There were riots under Barack Obama. These people just live in delusion. I mean, more of that hope and change fucking bullshit that end up getting people fucking disappointed when it's the same old bullshit. I mean, these people are desperate to win an election. She's talking about, oh, you remember when a time when you didn't have to think about the president? Like, most people don't think about the fucking president. It's fucking liberals who are obsessed with Donald Trump. They, like, I think about it, I ponder it, and then I go do something else. But these people literally, like, that's all they talk about. Because they're fucking boring, and that's all they got, is to talk about the president.
That line captures how a lot of people feel. A Biden aide told CNN, you want to be able to pick up your phone in the morning and not be outraged or scared. You want a government that
You're
works,
scared.
they said.
You're scared,
You want
pussy?
a government you simply don't
Fuck
have
you scared
to think
about
all that often.
retards?
I say a government that exists merely to govern and not to consume your every waking thought. A government that revolves around you and not the other way around. Now, while I hear that there are supposedly people out there who don't spend the majority of their time obsessing over politics and the all-caps state of our nation, for many of us, politics in the era of Trump has demanded our nearly undivided attention.
Because you're a weirdo. Because you're a fucking weirdo. Okay? You have obsessive compulsive like handicap, because you're saying that you don't have, I don't fucking think about politics all the time until yeah, I do look on Twitter and I'm like, wow, like people are burning down fucking cities and assassinating Trump supporters, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that bothers me. But I don't sit there all day. Like, I go about my day. But I know people that are obsessed with Trump, and like their small talk is crying about Trump. These people are weak. It demands your undivided attention because you're weird. You're a weird person.
That's partly because he demands it. His constant tweeting, the 2016 campaign rallies that never ended, the narcissism, the martyrdom, and desperate cries for adoration. This president is ubiquitous. Now, it's my job to obsess over this stuff, so I do it. But many everyday Americans also feel as though politics has become too important to ignore. Some are part of the so-called resistance, the legions of Americans who, for one reason or all of them, believe President Trump is the single greatest threat to our democracy and way of life. Some are Trump supporters who believe that Trump is quite simply the last thing standing between white civilization and the culture-canceling Visigoths. Either way, for many Americans, politics increasingly determines where we live, how we spend our time.
Let's not forget that these people are I don't know if they're millionaires, but they're thousandaires. You know what I mean? And they have enough money to invest in stuff to possibly make them millionaires. Where it's like your cush. You know what I'm saying? When you get paid, 600,000. Some Anderson Cooper gets paid probably. He has a sweet deal, probably like a couple mil a year. You know what I mean? Like, these people are paid actors, straight up. I mean, I'd say vote for Biden for their salary.
Who our friends are. Now, everything from watching football to mask wearing has become politicized, and that is, to put it gently, awful. Politics and government weren't meant to be the omnipresent.
Yeah,
center
and
of
you have
in
nothing
our
to
daily
you have
lives.
nothing to do with
All
that,
but
lady.
replacing family,
She has
community,
plenty to
work,
do
or
with all that.
church.
Their
Our
network has
elected officials were
plenty
never
to
meant
do with
to
that.
be celebrities or cult figures who demanded our undying attention and adoration. Presidential elections weren't meant to be 4-year-long events that bleed seamlessly into one another. Our psychological
What is she talking
well-being
about?
should not be dependent on who is in office. And yet, American anxiety levels are at a fever pitch.
This is 3
And
minutes in, and I can't stomach it. Like, I can't believe that people actually are watching that. Like, get the fuck out of here, lady. Let's see what else is going on. Former friend. Oh, here's the scare porn, right? We could see a rise in Iowa.
It's great to talk about this utopian kind of idea where everybody has a test every day and we can do that. I don't live in a utopian world. I live in the real world. And the real world had no tests for this new disease when this first started.
Meanwhile, other members on the White House task force say aggressive.
Hold on. Let's hear what he said right there. The real world had no test for this new disease when it first started. Yeah. That's retarded to say. Why? I'm a logical thinking person. I could realize, oh, it's a new disease. Huh. Wow. They put that out there like that's some fucking clever or fucking, amazing thought. What a joke.
Meanwhile, other members on the White House task force say aggressive testing is the way to find asymptomatic infections at universities, which will be key as colleges across the country have seen more than 20,000
force
confirmed
those
cases.
kids as part
and
of
a
their
safe, effective
as
vaccine
part
could
of
be
their
months
fucking
away,
being able
as
to
CNN
attend
Network
college to have to
reports.
be tested all the time. Fucking retarded.
3 potential vaccines now in crucial phase 3 human trials here in the US, but the FDA suggestion one could be approved before those trials are over, now raising more than eyebrows.
You don't want a vaccine to be available widely to the American public unless it's been shown to be safe and effective.
The FDA.
See, it has to be safe and effective. It's not going to be safe and effective. I'm not taking that shit. And if my employer wants me to take that shit, I'm not gonna take it. Why? Because every single thing that they've said has been like, well, it takes 1.5 years. And Fauci says it takes 7 years to come up with a viable vaccine. And they're pushing one out in like 9 months, 10 months. Common sense says that, well, also, this is something that they'll use against Trump. If he's reelected, they'll be like, well, Operation Warp Speed is handled by Trump, and he put out a vaccine that isn't viable. But if Joe Biden gets elected, then I don't know what inside baseball people have, but these people want to see Trump fucking fail. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't care if people die. Like, let's stop pretending that these people are good people. They're not.
Commissioner now intimating he'd consider resigning rather than green light a vaccine under political pressure.
I think all options are on the table. With respect, I hope we won't be in that position.
Such seismic statements now necessary because through previous misstatements and political pressure,
we've started eroding the trust that we've always had in these otherwise incredibly professional institutions. You can't just have the vaccine, you got to get it in people for it to work. And so trust is a critical element to make that happen.
While we wait, nationally, new case counts are falling from a great height. Florida finally allowing some visitors into nursing homes again.
They just would like to be able to say goodbye or to hug somebody. So it was,
But there's a knot in the heartland where average new case counts are rising right now, near doubled in South Dakota in just a week. The White House Coronavirus Task Force just warned Iowa it has the highest rate of cases in the nation, advising mask mandates across the
That's boring. These people are boring, man. Let's see. Oh, as new. All right, let's watch this. 2 days ago, because so a book comes out, right? Somebody's selling a book, right? And they're like, "Oh, Trump's unhealthy." As we see, fucking Joe Biden can't even fucking speak, and then he just runs off the stage before, you know what I mean? It's so ridiculous. These people are dumb.
Turning to our health lead, Vice President Mike Pence was put on standby to assume the powers of the presidency during an unannounced trip President Trump made to Walter Reed Hospital last November with his doctor. This is according to a new book by New York Times reporter Michael Schmidt. Well, the White House has maintained for months the last-minute hospital visit was for part of the president's annual physical. I want to bring back CNN's Caitlin Collins and Dr. Sanjay Gupta to talk about this a little bit.
They're on it. They just say, okay, it's in a book. It's in a book. A reporter is stating it, so it must be true, right? These people are ridiculous. They're trying to deflect the whole idea that fucking that Joe Biden is in the greatest of health when he's obviously not. He's not coherent. And, Trump could, he could kill over tomorrow, right? Well, we all could, right? That happens. But until it does, shut the fuck up about it. Shut the fuck up. Because you're just making up shit. And these people have the nerve. These people should be fucking executed, straight up, because they are committing. They're part of they're part of a coup against the president. They're actively trying to. They say the Russians meddled in elections. These motherfuckers, they meddle in elections. Why? Because they can go on a straight face and just say whatever they want and have millions of people fucking agree with it and be like, oh, well, Trump was sick. Trump's dying. Yep. Can't be in office no more. Let's get him out. Let's get Mike Pence in there.
More because, Caitlin, President Trump and his doctor have now put out statements addressing the president's health in the wake of this.
She's pretty hot,
but neither actually denies the reporting in this book.
Yeah, that's right. They're not denying what Michael Schmidt is reporting, but they are denying what they say the media is reporting, though I have not seen any legitimate outlet report what the president tweeted about today, which he said they were accusing him of having mini strokes when he went to Walter Reed that day. That caused the White House physician, Dr. Sean Conley, to then put out a statement, which he said was at the direction of President Trump, where he said that he can confirm he has not experienced or been evaluated for a stroke, a mini stroke, or any acute cardiovascular emergencies, as has been incorrectly reported in the media.
Well, even if you have a stroke, doesn't mean that you're fucking dying. I mean, a stroke can be caused by stress, you know what I mean, and you're perfectly fine. I had one of my supervisors, he had a stroke, and like he was back to work like within 3 days or something, or a week, because like it was brought on by stress, and he got the what is it, I don't know, where the face droops. It's like the half of the face droops, but it came back. It came back to normal. I mean, it's a full-on stroke where you're like a vegetable. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a different story. You know what I mean? And these people, I have no idea what happened to Trump, but these people have been known to just lie and make up stuff, and we are in a political election season. And these people are so fucking desperate that they just suck. They just suck as people. They're fucked up. They're fucking demented, and they work for people that are in the backgrounds that have some bad stuff in store for the American people.
So two things important there. I don't know of anyone who's reported that, and B, the president is now not denying that the vice president was put on standby last November when he made this abrupt trip to Walter Reed, but instead he's turned the headlines to be the president is denying that he's had mini strokes. Now, there could be many reasons for the vice president to have to be put on standby for a situation like that. Dick Cheney was once put on it in 2002 when George Bush was undergoing a colonoscopy. It can be as routine as that, or it can be a major circumstance that the White House is it telling us about? What's key here and what's critical for viewers?
Why? Let's think about what she said. A key thing that, or whatever she said, that the White House is not telling us about. These people are nobodies. They are nobody. I mean, the fact that I have a podcast, maybe, and I speak on things, well, that kind of makes me press, right? Why are these people so fucking special that they have to be in the mix and all that? Because they got a whole network and they're full of fucking, they have millions of dollars to do stuff with. You know what I mean? Like these people are nobodies. They are not elected officials. They have no clearance. They are not part of the political system. They are just fucking puppets, and they think that we deserve to know what is going on at all times because we said so. You know what I'm saying? And that's not reality. Reality is you don't need to know shit about what's going on with the president. And go fuck yourself. That's what I would be that way if I was president. Go fuck yourself.
Viewers to remember is that this is all part of the White House not being fully transparent about what that trip was for and why the president went, something they didn't tell us back in November except for the excuse that they said he was starting the first half of his physical. A physical, we should note, was completed 5 months later in April of 2020 when they then released the results of it.
I remember vividly that weekend when he went, Caitlin, on the White House team, we were all scrambling to figure out, okay, what is going on? Something isn't really adding up completely here. And Sanjay, as Caitlin pointed out, the president and the doctors were quick to point out, the doctor, I should say, were quick to point out that the president...
He seems to be perfectly fine. What did they give him? Some type of magic potion or something like that? Seems to be perfectly fine. These people are fucking ridiculous, man. You know what I mean? If it's that fucking dangerous and all that, and his health is in danger, I mean, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. These people are fucking stupid.
Didn't have an emergency heart issue or stroke, so they were really specific on those issues, but those wouldn't be the only procedures that would require anesthesia, right?
Right. I mean, they told us what he didn't have done, but they didn't tell us what he did have done. So it's one of these things where we're sort of left to wonder. I mean, what we can say is, as Caitlin pointed out, I mean, this was an unusual visit. I've covered 4 different presidents and really looked in detail about their various health concerns, but also how they're cared for as president. This was unusual. Walter Reed, not everyone there knew. Typically, the hospital would be notified the president was coming. Dr. Conley rode in the vehicle with the president. That's not the usual security protocol. Obviously, it was a quick, unplanned sort of visit. I will say this. When you go back and look at the timeline, and we corroborated this with Dr.
They're speculating. If you look at the timeline, you don't know what's going on. Get the fuck out of here. Fuck you. Let's see what else they got. Barr interview gets tense and mail-in. Let's see this one. Let's see what he has to say.
Let's talk a little bit about what the president also said just a little while ago about North Carolina's absentee voting system. He said, and I'm quoting him right now, "So let them send it in and let them go vote. And if the system is as good as they say it is, then obviously they won't be able to vote." That sounds like he's actually encouraging people to commit a crime, to vote twice.
I'm sorry.
He wants them to commit a crime twice, to vote twice. That's a crime.
Fucking their narrative. Dude, these people have been trying to get Donald Trump out of office, and they just looking for every little bitty thing. The phone call with the Russians. It's like, dude, like y'all are grasping at straws, man. Like, shut the fuck up. These people need to be fucking executed, straight up.
You'll have to read that again.
All right. Hey, this is what he said. So let them send it in, the email, the voting by mail, and let them go vote the ballot. Let them send in the ballot, and then let them go vote. And if the system is as good as they say it is, then obviously they won't be able to vote. It sounds like he's encouraging people.
Okay, let's hear what he had to say, right? He said, get the authorization to vote in by mail by doing it online, registering, right, for your mail-in ballot. When the mail-in ballot comes to you, you mail it in, and then if the system is correct, because we don't know once it's in the mail, there could be some type of tracker on those motherfuckers. I don't know, man. These people are fucking desperate. You know, and they could say, "Oh, here's a ballot," so we come and scratch it out, and then, "Oh, here goes Joe Biden. You're accounted for Joe Biden." When go and mail, and if the system will basically red flag you where you can't vote, you've already put in your thing, you've already casted your vote. You know, it'll be red flagged if the system is as good as it says it is. This is not saying, "Hey, everybody, make sure you do whatever the fuck he's saying." He's saying that these people are so desperate that they're going to try to steal an election. And that's where we've gotten as Americans. And we need to do everything possible to make sure your vote's counted. That's what it says. It doesn't say, "Go vote twice. Go vote twice. Twice vote." These simpleton fucking bullshit arguments that people like this fucking clown, this fucking Zionist clown, is trying to spread across all the United States from ignorant ass motherfuckers.
To break the law and try to vote twice.
Well, I don't know exactly what he was saying, but it seems to me what he's saying is he's trying to make the point that the ability to monitor this system is not good. And if it was so good, if you tried to vote a second time, you would be caught if you voted in person.
That would be illegal if they did that. If somebody mailed in a ballot and then actually showed up to vote in person, that would be illegal.
I don't know what the law in the particular state says.
You can't vote twice.
Well, I don't know what the law.
He's saying it's illegal. Why is that illegal? If it is, then, but I just question, why is that illegal? You're just you're not voting twice. It's not like they're going to be like, Joe Blow voted twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then here comes the goddamn cops. Like, really? Is that the way that the way it is? Like, and this is the Attorney General doesn't even know. You know, but this fucking CNN reporter guy is like spreading this whole, you know, it's illegal and he's trying to get people to do legal acts.
Well, in the particular state says, and when that vote becomes final.
Is there any state that says you can vote twice?
Well, there's some, you know, maybe that you can change your vote up to a particular term. I don't know what the law is, so I'm not going to offer.
He was saying test
the
system.
You know, well, if you know what he's saying, why are you asking me what he's saying?
He doesn't believe in the mail-in voting. And you're the Attorney General of the United States.
Why does you? Yeah.
You know, he said if you expand mail-in voting, this is the president.
This is, you know,
it's reckless.
Well, this is a, you know, sort of cheap talk to get around the fundamental.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which is the bipartisan commission chaired by Jimmy Carter and James Baker said back in 2009 that mail-in voting is fraught with the risk of fraud and coercion.
But since then,
and until this administration,
let me talk. Yeah, please.
And since that time, there have been in the newspapers, in networks, academic studies saying it is open to fraud and coercion. The only time the narrative changed is after this administration came in. But elections that have been held with mail have found substantial fraud and coercion. For example, we indicted someone in Texas, 1,700 ballots collected from people who could vote. He made them out and voted for the person he wanted to. Okay? Because that kind of thing happens with mail-in ballots, and everyone knows
But there are individual cases, but as far as widespread fraud, we haven't seen that.
And how easy is it to do, right? So back in the day, they were trying to say, Russia hacked the election. They didn't actually like intrude on networks. What they did intrude on is the voter registry, which is basically what they saw. The people in the intelligence agencies saw that people from Russia were attempting to intrude on the voter registry, which is basically the database of every single person, wherever location they were looking at, of all the voters that are registered to vote. That they reported that no data was changed. It was basically they just looked at it. So they accessed and looked at it. Now, if you can get into that registry, you could definitely get fake mail-in ballots. You know what I mean? And then there's like confusion on, okay, well, I already received my ballot and I already sent it back to the return address where it set it to. You know what I'm saying? Or they just fill them out and then send them in for you. You know what I mean? And then you're locked out of your vote, and it's like election day, and you go to vote, and they're like, well, you've already cast your ballot. Like, this is going to happen. We don't need to change the way we do our elections because of this COVID, because it's all an excuse. I seem to think that COVID was a way to confuse everything up to the election, because it was done right after the impeachment, and it's a way for them to do this mail-in ballot bullshit so they can steal the election, because they are pathetic people. I mean, listen to Wolf Blitzer make these weak-ass fucking arguments.
Well, we haven't had the kind of widespread use of mail-in ballots that's being proposed. We've had absentee ballots from people who request them from a specific address. Now what we're talking about is mailing them to everyone on the voter list when everyone knows those voter lists are inaccurate. People who should get them don't get them, which is what has been one of the major complaints in states that have tried this in municipal elections. And people who get them are not the right people. They're people who have replaced the previous occupant, and they can make them out. And sometimes multiple ballots come to the same address with a whole several generations of occupants. Do you think that's a way to run a vote?
Well, the only thing I'm saying is that so far we haven't seen widespread fraud. But
so far we haven't tried it. Well, and the point is,
but a lot of us. There are several states that only have mail-in voting, including a Republican.
Well, this is playing with fire. This is playing with fire. We're a very closely divided country here. And if people have to have confidence in the results of the election and the legitimacy of the government, and people trying to change the rules to this methodology, which as a matter of logic is very open to fraud and coercion, is reckless and dangerous. And the people are playing with fire.
Well, I will point out there are 5 states that only have mail-in voting, including Utah and Colorado, Washington State, Oregon, Hawaii. And they've reported over the years they've had virtually no problems. But who's trying to change the rules right now?
I would say the people who want to go to mass mail-in ballots.
But you understand why. There is a coronavirus pandemic. Right. And there are a lot of people potentially, if they waited a long line, when they go to the polls, they could get sick, especially older people or people.
If you can go to the grocery store, you can go cast your vote. Because I was at the grocery store the other day, and this old motherfucker who was like really slow, fat, like this dude was on 1 mile per hour, just like, and he was like chastising the kid, the like 18-year-old kid that was pushing the carts and cleaning them and shit like that for having his mask down. It's like, dude, the kid's fucking working, man. Like, it's hot outside. Like, and you want him to wear that fucking mask. And like, he's by himself. He's not fucking with nobody. He's not near nobody. And you're like going over there trying to educate him on coronavirus. Like, to me, that guy was just at the I would love to have seen what this guy was getting from the grocery store, because if he's just getting lemons or he's just getting some bread, like this guy has obvious comorbidities, yet he wants to go outside and fucking go to the grocery store for because he's bored. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. If you can go to the grocery store, if you can go eat at a sit-down restaurant, then you can get your ass up and go stand in line to vote. You know what I'm saying? So, go fuck yourself.
With underlying conditions. As a result, a lot of people want to change the rules so they don't have to go wait in long lines. They don't have to touch all this.
And the appropriate way to deal with that is, number one, arrangements at the polls that protect people, which can be done. And number two, people who have pre-existing conditions and are particularly vulnerable can get an absentee ballot. I have no problem with people. I voted by absentee ballot, not by mail. I actually went to the office to cast my vote, but absentee ballots are fine.
All right, let's move on and talk a little bit about another suggestion. You've said you were worried that a foreign country could send thousands of fake ballots to people that it might be impossible to detect. What are you basing that on?
I'm basing that, as I've said repeatedly, I'm basing that on logic.
Pardon?
Logic.
Common sense, stupid.
That a foreign country is trying to interfere
No, I'm saying
in that
people,
way.
No, I'm saying people are concerned about foreign influence, and if we use a ballot system with the system that that states are just now trying to adopt, it does leave open the possibility of counterfeiting ballots, either by someone here or someone overseas.
So you think a foreign country could do that?
I think anyone could do it.
Have you seen any evidence that they're trying to do that?
No, but most things can be counterfeited.
What did he say?
Go to the trouble.
What did he say? Logic, common sense, a little bit of thought. Oh, you think that it can happen? Yeah. Anybody, he just said anybody could do it. You'd be surprised. It's logic. God damn, these people are fucking retarded.
Of making our money the way we make it. Now, should we have Minnesota print up our money on regular parchment paper?
I asked the question because U.S. intelligence officials have said they've seen no information or intelligence that foreign countries, whether Russia or China...
Yeah, well, you asked the question, but I've answered that question several times. I said, no, I don't have any information because this is the first time we've tried such a thing.
During your tenure as Attorney General of the United States, how many indictments have you brought against people committing voter fraud?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but several I know of.
Like a handful?
I can't, I don't know.
But several doesn't sound like too many.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many we have. I know there are a number of investigations right now, some very big ones.
We don't have universal mail-in ballots, dude. So several is a way. Everybody just goes to the goddamn polls and that's it. That's the way we do an election. I'm surprised we even use machines. You know what I mean? Like for years, we've had fucking just go over there and you get a piece of paper and you just, check mark who you want as the president. And that seemed to work perfectly fine. But now we have machines and hey, they're supposed to be foolproof, secure, but who knows? It's election fraud and all that is I don't know how easy for me to do it, but a group of nefarious people with funding and stuff like that, it'd probably be pretty fucking easy. That's the point.
The president also has said, and I'm quoting him directly, that he's ready to send sheriffs, law enforcement, and U.S. attorneys to polling places on Election Day. You're the Attorney General. Can the president do that legally?
It depends if he's responding to a particular criminal threat.
Well, he says he just wants to do it as a precaution.
I didn't hear him say that.
The acting Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, said on CNN, we don't have any authority to do that. Right. That's what he specifically said.
Well, I'm saying,
is he right?
Well, if there was a particular...
So what did Barr say? He said, well, I didn't know he said that. But he can't, Wolf Blitzer can't say that where he got that quote. He won't. Let's see if he does. I bet he doesn't. Because it probably doesn't exist. Like, oh, well, Wolf Blitzer says that the president said, come on, man.
There was specific investigative danger that we detected some problem and risk.
Has he raised that possibility with you to send Justice Department, law enforcement to polling places on Election Day, November 3rd?
No.
As a precaution?
No. But sometimes they have been in the past to enforce civil rights.
Because he said we're going to send sheriffs, law enforcement, and U.S. attorneys.
We've done so in the past to enforce civil rights to make sure that people were not being harassed and there was no suppression of vote against African Americans.
Let's talk a little bit about foreign interference, Russia specifically. The top elections official in the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, our Office of National Intelligence, revealed publicly last month that Russia is working to help President Trump get elected, while both China and Iran prefer Joe Biden to win. First of all, do you accept that Russia is once again interfering in the
So the one thing that Wolf Blitzer leaves out is how they are doing it. They're just saying, well, the Russians are going to interfere in the election. It's like, okay, well, how are they doing that, Wolf? And then we can start to break down the counter argument to his claim, right? But since we don't know that, let's see if Barr asks that question. I mean, you're just making a statement. You know, it's a statement.
U.S. presidential election.
I accept that there's some preliminary activity that suggests that they might try again.
Well, what does that mean?
Well, that's all I'm saying.
You think that Russia is? You've seen that intelligence.
It wouldn't surprise me if Russia tries something again, of the same general genre of before. I mean, this influence basically is two kinds of things. It's hack and dump. You get into someone's mail system and then try to disclose embarrassing documents. It wouldn't surprise me if they try something like that, or any other country.
Or go get Facebook ads for dumbasses that are on Facebook that'll believe anything.
The intelligence community says Russia, China, and Iran are seeking to interfere in the U.S. presidential election for various reasons, but mostly they want to sow dissent in our country, exacerbate racial tensions, et cetera, like that. Of those three countries that the intelligence community has pointed to, Russia, China, and Iran, which is the most assertive, the most aggressive in this area?
I believe it's China.
Which one?
China.
China more than Russia right now?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because I've seen the intelligence. That's what I've concluded.
What are they trying to do?
Well, I'm not going to discuss that.
But they're trying to help who wins?
No, you owe me. I'm Wolf Blitzer.
Yes.
Because
I'm
the
important.
U.S. intelligence community.
Trying to influence the United States? Yes.
Yeah. I'm just trying to be precise on that area. And one of the most explosive revelations from the recently submitted Senate Intelligence Committee, which is bipartisan, Republicans and Democrats, they report on Russian interference in the 2016 election, and they say that they had confirmation that the Russians did interfere. They cite the case of Paul Manafort, who was the Trump campaign chairman, was working directly with someone the U.S. intelligence community considered to be a Russian intelligence officer. Do you accept that?
I accept that Russia made some efforts to
Still leaving out how. I'm done with this shit, man. I can't deal with that. That's fucking retarded. They still leave out how. Let's see if there's any new videos. No, still same old bullshit. I'm not gonna watch this guy. This The Point with Chris, whatever the fuck. He's like the Sesame Street for fucking libtards. Let's see here. Let's see what this shit is about. I have no idea.
I want to talk to you about something that Iowa Senator.
This lady is the most monotone goof that I've ever seen on TV. Like, fuck this lady.
Senator Joni Ernst has suggested, which is that doctors in her state
Goddamn
intentionally
Jodie Foster and the fucking
for money. There is no
Silence of the Lambs, fat bitch.
This is her conversation with a local reporter there.
You mentioned something I wanted to clarify about the COVID numbers and maybe being inflated by healthcare providers in order to get more reimbursement. I want to give you maybe an opportunity to clarify your thoughts.
And again, this is what I've heard from healthcare providers and others. I can't actually look at that information, but I have heard it from healthcare providers that they do get reimbursed higher amounts.
Well, I don't know who Senator Joni Ernst is, but Iowa Center. This is not something new. This is something that was happening in New York, and it's part of the CARES Act, and in the funding for the coronavirus response. And if it was happening, if it's the ability to happen in New York, it sure can happen in Iowa. I mean, these healthcare providers, they're they need to return a profit, and I mean it's logic, it's logical that this could happen. So
if it's a COVID related illness or death, So because of the additional expense for PPE and the treatment that might be necessary for COVID-19.
Do you think that numbers are being inflated because of that?
That I'm not sure. And again, that's why I want somebody to really go back and do a good fact check on this. And I don't have the means to do that. But I do think that should be.
Did you hear that cut? Did you hear the cut in the audio? So they took what she said. What did she say? I think they should do a good fact check on this. Somebody should be really checking that out. That's what she said. I want somebody really to go back and do a good fact check on this. And I don't have the means to do that. She's saying she does not have the means to do that, and that they should do a good fact check. What's so hard? What's so hard to understand in that statement? Why is this I got you, and then listen to the cut.
Do that, but I do think that should be discussed, because I heard the same thing on the news, traveling across the state today, is that they're thinking there may be 10,000 or less deaths that were actually singularly COVID-19.
And Doctor, just a quick fact check for our viewers. When you look at that death total that we have on the side of our screen, 185,000 deaths, there's been this discussion about comorbidity, but obviously these are not deaths that would occur in the absence of coronavirus, so these are coronavirus deaths. I just want to be very clear about that. What do you think about her raising this question of whether essentially doctors are en masse committing fraud when it comes to COVID numbers?
There is a plain and
I mean, is it fraud? I mean, if they're just inflating the number. I mean, they're just saying, oh, that's COVID.
Simple truth here. More than 200,000 Americans died in excess of historical rates between March and July. The death rate is a fact. Everything else is an inference. Now, if you die from cancer and you also have diabetes, that doesn't mean you didn't die from cancer. That means you had another condition. If you die from COVID and you also had diabetes, that doesn't mean you didn't die from COVID. The facts here are extremely clear. The U.S. death rate, and the most reliable way of measuring this is what's called the excess mortality, which is the number of deaths beyond the historical baseline. And that's been looked at by the Financial Times, by the Economist news magazine, by the CDC, by the New York Times. And the data is extremely clear. There are well over 200,000 excess deaths in the U.S. already. And that's a combination of three things. One, someone who died and the doctor said, yes, this was COVID. That's that 185,000 number. Two, people who died from COVID, but because there wasn't a test, or they died at home, or it wasn't recognized to be COVID. And three, people who might have had a heart attack or other serious problem and didn't go to get care because they were afraid or the healthcare system was overwhelmed. That's the bottom line. We've lost more than 200.
I don't think at this point in time the healthcare system's overwhelmed. I think they're handling it pretty good across the nation. I mean, these people just want to blame other people for natural events. Like the only people you can blame is China. They fucking made a virus in a P4 lab and it got out however it did, either intentionally or unintentionally, and the world's suffering from it. That's why you don't try to play God unless you know what the fuck you're doing, because there's a risk that we could be fucking wiped off the goddamn map. Our whole civilization die because of stupid ass communist totalitarian goddamn government, and then everybody wants to blame Trump. Get the fuck out of here, man.
1,000 American lives, because the response to this pandemic in the U.S. has not been nearly as effective as many other countries have done.
What does it mean to you when we have coronavirus death toll deniers operating in high and the highest levels of government?
Well, if you look at some of the so-called controversies, I'm made more confident. I have more optimism when I see what most people are doing. The vast majority of people are wearing masks when they're near other people. The vast majority of people understand that this is a serious pandemic, and it's not.
Yep, they're wearing masks and people are still getting coronavirus. I live in Texas. Everybody's forced to wear a goddamn mask, and you can't go anywhere. You can't get gas if you don't have a mask. I mean, people are wearing their mask. Yet people are still getting coronavirus. Like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Not about health versus economy. We have to ignore the pandemic so we can get our jobs back. Just the opposite. We all want to get back to work in person, our kids back in school. We can do that by controlling the virus. The virus is not going to respond to spin. It's going to respond to a science-based approach that keeps us all safer.
Man, we've learned a hell of a lot here today. Hell of a lot from these CNNers. Let's see if there's anything else that we can get into. Well, I think we've done enough. I think we've done enough damage on this whole CNN. I hope to do this regularly. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Go through the bullshit that CNN's pushing for the day. You know what I mean? Because the bullshit gets thick up in this place, man. It's really bad. Let's see what's going on here. My stuff is freezing. Anyways, so stay tuned to what I have in store for this channel. As far as this little show that I'm trying to put forward, keeps me on my toes of COVID-19, the politics of whatever, you know what I mean? So if you like this type of thing, of course, as like every other YouTuber says, subscribe to the channel. If we get a little bit more traction, excuse me, if we get a little more traction in the videos, then I'll do a little bit more about putting out my Twitters and stuff like that. But for now, we just keep this small. Just follow me on the YouTubes, and that's about it, you know. Hit me up, and don't believe all the bullshit that's out there, man. Start thinking for yourself. Don't be a fucking sheep. And make shills bad again. Alright? There we go. Peace out.